Hey everybody, this is Brittany here from Surfing Waves of Light, and today I wanted to give you some updates on my trip to Puerto Rico. I have a special thanks to send out there to some mystery person who is sending me gifts, and I wanted to dive in quickly on a book called The Disappearance of the Universe for those of you out there who are studying the Course in Miracles and maybe looking for some other material to help you navigate through that big, beautiful, mysterious book. And then I'm going to channel a message. So thank you all so much for listening to this channel. I'm so excited. I cannot believe I have 261 people interested in this material that I'm making, and I'm so pleased. So I want to start off by thanking someone out there. I keep receiving things from Amazon that I did not order. One thing I got was this microphone right here. Got it in the mail right before I left for my trip. So thank you. I have had some people tell me they have trouble hearing me, so hopefully this helps. It's a beautiful present and making me feel even more supported to do these videos. I also got sent a stand, which you can't see, but it comes with a little clicker so I can just click the video on and off. So some of you may notice at the end of my channelings, I have to log back into my computer because like the screen has like timed out and now I have to put my password in. So now with this little guy, I can literally just connect it to my phone and I can click. It was so cool. I started the video and it's just awesome. So thank you to whoever that is. If anyone has any insights about who that is or wants to share, I would love to know. And I just thank you so much. Thank you, universe. Thank you, all of you. All right, so I just got back from Puerto Rico a couple days ago. It was a really great trip. I didn't get a chance to channel there. I shared a house with a bunch of people. There was a lot of moving pieces. We shared a car. So there wasn't really that time for me to sit and channel. Although spirit never leaves. So it's beautiful because the situation appeared. You know how group dynamics are. And it was really a blessing. Of course, in the moment, people feel upset or there are feelings that are brought to the surface. But this situation really, I could see how for each and every one of us, it brought feelings to the surface from old traumas that needed to be healed. And so it was really beautiful. So of course, as humans, when we see a situation, it's easy to judge it. It's easy to be upset. And of course, we need to go through those feelings, those emotions. But then when you can step outside of your human self and take the higher view, I can see now that all of us received a gift from that situation. Nothing crazy, and I don't feel inspired to share the details in this moment. But basically, I know that I received a lot of healing from it, a really big wound that I had around my sacral chakra. I felt a lot of that clearing, and I think I'm still clearing. I have a little bit of a cold. To fly to Puerto Rico, you literally lose 2 nights sleep because all the flights are red eyes. So I really love my sleep, and we were surfing and the waves were big. And so I was definitely out of my comfort zone, but had a great time. So just wanted to let you all know about that. And so thankful to the universe, even though I wouldn't call it like the most spiritual trip. Spirit was totally there. And I mean, spirit's always a part of nature and the ocean, but totally there. And I did set my intention before the trip. I told my friends, I was joking, I said, this is my fault that this all happened because before we came to Puerto Rico, I set my intention that the highest good and the most healing would occur on this trip. And again, we had a blast, like literally small, minor details in the big scope. But we all communicated better. It's just amazing to me how the universe, how God, how spirit works. And that's why I love sharing on these videos with you. Okay, so I want to channel, but before I do that, I recently got inspired to revisit this book, The Disappearance of the Universe. This book helped me tremendously when I started the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles, the language in there, it is in, oh God, I can't think of what it's called, iambic pentameter. That is the way the language is written in the Course in Miracles. And this is what Shakespeare wrote in. And so I can see how it works on a subconscious and unconscious level. These phrases and things aren't always the easiest to remember. And even the words, you almost have to read a sentence and go, what does that mean? So I really like this book, The Disappearance of the Universe, because it really breaks down the concepts of the Course in a really beautiful and simple way. One that every time I read it, I learn from. And so I just wanted to touch a few of the things that I've read in this book so far because they've helped me tremendously. And also just to let you all know that my channeling, sometimes I just get downloads and they kind of come out of nowhere, or I sometimes call them activations, things that I feel were already within me but needed activating. And sometimes I'll read material and a quote or a phrase will activate something within me. So a lot of times when I do my learning, which I'm a lifelong learner, I'm constantly reading, researching, listening, there's something about like a phrase or a quote that can activate so much information within me. So I'm going to read some of the quotes and phrases and concepts from this book that have done that, and then I'm going to channel so you guys can get to see how that can relate sometimes. And I don't know what we're going to channel about. It might have nothing to do with it, but it happens a lot for me. So this book starts off with a quote in the beginning. And it says, "There are those who have reached God directly, retaining no trace of worldly limits and remembering their own identity perfectly. These might be called the teachers of teachers because, although they are no longer visible, their image can yet be called upon, and they will appear when and where it is helpful for them to do so. And to those to whom such appearances would be frightening, they give their ideas. No one can call on them in vain, nor is there anyone of whom they are unaware." So that is a quote from the Course in Miracles. I'm not sure where that's from, but it's the first quote in this book. And actually, my guides want to channel on this. So just give me a second. We'll see what they have to say. I'm just going to take a sip of tea. Greetings, dear beings. We are the Arcturian Council, and we are pleased to be with all of you on this beautiful, vibrant day. Yes, we are beings of light. We are in the non-physical, in the unseen, and we are here giving our ideas to this being, for she is not in a place at this time where a physical experience would be of her utmost benefit. We love this book, The Disappearance of the Universe, for it provides a modern day context to the Course in Miracles, just as Tina Louise Spalding and the channelings of Jesus have also done for this being. You see, many of you are trained in a certain way of thinking and understanding, and so we are always trying to meet you where you are. Wherever you are in concepts and in teachings and in love, that is where we can meet you. That is where we can give you a lesson. And there are so many levels and so many different lessons. And so know that we are catering every lesson and every inspiration to you. You see, we would not have inspired this being to pick this book up again if there was not a lesson in there for her. And as she explained from her trip to Puerto Rico, that there was some interesting dynamics that appeared. There was interesting situations that came up that evoked emotions in everyone in the group. And yet, through reading this book, it is further clarifying her mind, further helping her to understand that this is a loving situation, that this is for everyone, that this is not a situation to judge one or another, yet it is an opportunity to look at where the emotions are coming from, what is being triggered within herself and the other beings, and to take it as an opportunity for self-reflection, to see truly where within herself is there these feelings or this situation. Where has she done wrong in the past, and what guilt is she holding that she has not yet released? This being is very much aware of two situations that she, in her mind, her logical thinking mind, does not feel was her best expression of self. And so her work the past few years and through this trip was to begin to release those on a deeper level, on a subconscious and unconscious level, and to become aware of how quickly she can feel guilty or feel bad for just taking a simple action. Even through the progression of the situation, This being would take one simple action, and no matter what she did, she felt as though she was doing wrong, even though her intention was good, even though her guidance was good, and even though we were directing her to provide that step, to take that leap. And she is working on her doubt. She is working on developing her trust. And this is okay, for we know that trust takes time. It has taken her many years to fully trust many of her friends and partners and other beings, and that is okay. She has been brought up in a fearful home where it was of a cautious nature that you approached trust with different people on a very deep level. This we see as fine, as in this world you are all experiencing, there can be situations where trust is not warranted. And so we invite you to feel into every situation. We invite you to feel into every opportunity and learn that as you continue to trust us and trust yourself more, these situations will be fewer and farther between. And then you'll be walking around the world never even thinking about trust, for it will be a part of you. This leads to another quote from the Disappearance of the Universe. So we are going to bring this being back so she can read to you. And we thank you all so much for being with us today and sending you so much love, sending you so many upgrades, sending you all that you need to be successful in achieving this peace of mind state that will allow you that close connection with God, that oneness, that eternity that you are all seeking through your actions in this life. Okay. All right. Thanks, Arcturians. So beautiful. All right. So here's a few more of the topics, and then I'll close out this video. All right. So one thing that this book says, and I highly recommend reading it, but there is a place in this book, and here's the quote. It says, and this is Arton. So this book is about a man, Gary Renard, and his spirit guides, Arton and Persa, appeared to him in person while he was living in a rural area in Maine. So this is his spirit guide. This is their second conversation, Arton, and he says to Gary, "I know you don't want to hear this yet, but it doesn't matter what actions you take or don't take in the world. Although your way of seeing and the attitude you maintain while engaging in any action does matter. Of course, as long as you appear to exist within the world of multiplicity, you will have some temporary earthly concerns, and we do not intend for you to ignore your worldly needs." So basically, this quote really stuck with me because one thing I've learned from the Course in Miracles is this. It's that it doesn't matter which action you take. It's your attitude, it's your thoughts that are behind it. And so I notice sometimes I'm trying to overcome my fears, but I still have fears within my mind. And I know that that attitude, those thoughts, that is going to affect the outcome. So it doesn't matter what actions we take. It's really how well have we prepared the mind? How well have we looked within to see what fears, what anger, what guilt is still there? Because if we're holding guilt, that is going to play out in the world, just as I saw on my trip to Puerto Rico. And then I'm going to do a few more. Another great concept that this book talks about is Newtonian physics versus quantum physics. And this I highly recommend anyone to read about on their own. There's lots of good books out there about this. This is the quote, "Newtonian physics held that objects were real and outside of you with a separate existence. Quantum physics demonstrates that this is not true. The universe is not what you assume it to be. Everything that appears to exist is really inseparable thought. You can't even observe something without causing a change in it on the subatomic level. Everything is in your mind, including your own body. As aspects of Buddhism correctly teach, the mind that is thinking everything is one mind, and this mind is completely outside the illusion of time and space. What no philosophy except one teaches is a truth that will seldom be well received by anyone: the fact that the mind is itself also an illusion. It should be self-evident that if there is only oneness, then anything else that appears to exist must have been made up. Furthermore, and this is an issue that no teaching has satisfactorily supplied the motivation for until very recently, it must have been made up for what appeared to be a damn good reason. Thus, instead of judging the world and everything in it, perhaps it would be more helpful for you to ask what value you saw in making it up in the first place. I love that section so much because, one, it touches on the basis of reality. We all think that, I'm Brittany and this mug is separate from me and this book and, my viewers on this channel, but we're not really separate. This world was created from one inseparable thought, the mind. And the mind is outside of this world, outside of time and space. But the point that this book has also made clear to me that even once you get to the mind level, that's still an illusion. It's actually past that level where we really reconnect or we really become one with God, because God is only what is. So it's like this world, then we have the mind that creates this world that is outside, but it's also an illusion. And it's actually the next step to the oneness, the God level that we go. And I just want to say too, and I wanted to say this in the beginning of the video, this came through yesterday about language. I'm going to do a video about language, but I have not all the answers. I but share that which is revealed to me. So I'm not claiming to know everything. I'm still a student of this beautiful blue book and this way, and I'm certainly not back in my God presence all the time, but it is what I'm striving for. So I'm just taking you all along on the journey on what is helping me cultivate peace so that I can get to the mind level and then back to God, which I already am, but in this illusion, it feels like I'm not. So, and then this paragraph also makes another beautiful point. Thus, instead of judging the world and everything in it, perhaps it would be more helpful for you to ask what value you saw in making it up in the first place. So I'm going to leave you with that for this quote. What value do you think you saw in making up this world in the first place? I know for me, I always get the message that I was, quote unquote, bored in unconditional love. I know that's a common phrase that they're using to translate to where I am now, but there's a lot that could go with that. So I reflect on that myself as well. So last two from this book. So they're talking about the mind and how we correct the mind, right? So we know where we're headed. We're trying to get back to God through all these different levels, back to pure non-dualism as they refer to it in this book. And how do we do that? So here's another one, I think, from Persa, the other guide. Just as a navigator or computer constantly corrects the course of an air jetliner along its route, the Holy Spirit is always correcting you, no matter what you may appear to do or on what level of spiritual awareness you may appear to be. It may be possible to ignore him, but it is never possible to lose him. The jet airliner is always going off course, but through constant correction, it arrives at its destination. So will you arrive at your destination. It's a done deal. You couldn't screw it up if you tried. The real question is, how long do you want to prolong your suffering? Bam! Another huge, for me, epiphany. Now, I've read this book before, but every time I'm reading it, I'm like, I need to take lots of notes. So I love this analogy of a jetliner is always going off course, but through constant correction, it arrives at its destination. So will you arrive at yours. To me, this is so beautiful. I'm so aware of messing up and of how my mind is not always aligned with perfect love, God love. But it just reminds me that we have this navigational system. It's the Holy Spirit. And when we can get quiet, when we can get our mind to a little bit of peace and just listen for that loving, that unconditionally loving voice, it's always correcting us. In fact, the Holy Spirit expects us to go off course, just like a jetliner. We're not even expected to be perfect here. We are just expected to be open to course correction. So ask yourself, are you open to course correction? I'm asking myself that. Sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. Another beautiful one. Okay. last one for today, but these were just such beautiful, beautiful points that sometimes reading the course doesn't come across clearly to me. All right. So in this section, they're talking about Jay, or Jesus, and his lifetime. And they're sort of breaking down his lifetime. And Arden and Persa say that they knew Jesus when he was alive in that lifetime on this earth. So what they say, those of us who spent a lot of time with him, and as in my case, got to speak in private with him, were inspired by his complete faith in God. One of the ironic things, and this is something people don't understand, was that he considered himself to be totally dependent on God. Yet this dependence was not a weakness, as the world usually views dependence. Rather, the result was a state of unbelievable psychological strength. Things that would scare the stuffing out of strong people meant nothing to him, because they were nothing to him. Fear was not a part of him. His attitude was the same as if you were having a dream last night asleep in your bed, except you were totally aware of the fact that you were also dreaming. And because you knew you were dreaming, you also knew that absolutely nothing in the dream could possibly hurt you, because none of it was true. You realized you were merely observing symbolic images, including people who weren't really there. So love this quote too, just talking about how Jesus, Jay, and whether or not you relate to this character, this being, that quality of being completely dependent on God, to me, that exemplifies the trust that the Course in Miracles is asking us for. To not worry about the outcomes, to just trust that the universe has our back, that God, even though he doesn't play a role here, this is our own world we created. Of course, he loves us. And so we have the Holy Spirit here who is always assisting us and never causing us any unnecessary suffering. In fact, just as that other quote said, they're trying to save us time by decreasing our suffering, by helping us to see that these situations that appear, they are here for our benefit. They are not here because there's an evil God out there who just said, trip to Puerto Rico, let's F this up today. No. Everything that occurs is healing. And when you look at things that way, it's so much easier to be loved, to love all beings, and to release that judgment. Because another thing that this book was saying was that as soon as you judge something, you make it real. It's like, it's to me, the image I get, and I'm not going to channel again, I'm just going to tell you what they're showing me. The image I get is that when something happens in the world, it's in this in-between state where it's like flickering and fluttering. And you can look upon that with neutrality and it'll stay flickering and fluttering. But the second you judge it and you say, oh, that's wrong, that's evil, then all of a sudden you create it and it becomes physical and it grounds itself into this planet via your perception. So remember, when we just stay in neutrality, we try not to judge, we can still be aware of the feelings that come up, but we try not to judge and we send love to every situation knowing it is helping us. So that's my quick review on Disappearance of the Universe. Highly recommend this book for anyone, even if you just started the Course in Miracles and it's seeming like, I don't know what the heck's going on. Read this book and anything by Tina Louise Spalding. Those are my recommendations. That's how I got to where I am. I'm still early in the journey, but I know where my destination is. My destination is unconditional love to the mind level, to the God level. And as the book said, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of us all being open to course correction. So I'll say it on this video. I am open to course correction. Scares the crap out of me, but in the same way, I'm very excited because the Holy Spirit, universe, God, the Arcturians, guardians, all these beings that I connect with, they are so much having my back. So I love you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit of channeling, a little bit of book review. I'm reading books all the time, so I'm going to let you know what insights they're providing for me. And love your comments. Please keep leaving them. And if you guys have any ideas for videos, any topics you want me to channel on, it's really fun when someone gives me a topic to channel on that doesn't just come naturally to me. It's kind of like working a different channeling muscle. So if you want, no pressure, Love you all so much. Have the best day. And thanks again, whoever got me this sweet button clicker. I love it. All right, bye.